All right, thank you guys. The Chicago White Sox take on the Houston Astros, 7:15 Eastern start time. The Houston Astros are minus 130, totals 8. If you like the White Sox in a slight upset on the road here, they're plus $110 for some money line cash. Now they're also minus 180, catching the 1.5 on the run line. Framber Valdez on the bump for Houston, Lance Lynn for Chicago. We're 6-3 in our last 9, $1.99 daily best plays on my Patreon website. And if you want to access today's $1.99 daily best play, it's only going to cost you just $1.99. We're also hitting at 71% in our last 17 NBA tier package picks on that Patreon page as well. And the good news is we have another NBA tier package pick going off here this evening. We currently have over 1,100 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally, don't forget to check me out on that website at patreon.com/BrockPage. And despite some really good stuff out of Lance Lynn this season, the White Sox have lost 3 out of their last 5 ball games, with 2 of those losses coming against Houston. And as a matter of fact, they scored only 3 total runs in this series with Houston thus far. They're taking on an Astros club who's on a 5-game winning streak and really plays their best baseball at home. That's kind of been the trend over the past couple of seasons. The Astros are 24-13 straight up at Minute Maid Park. If you cheated once and you got a slap on the wrist, I'm sure you're still doing it, or you will eventually do it again. But anyway, they're also leading the majors in scoring and hits. And if we can cash on them, cheat away. I don't care. Michael Brantley, he's in the top 5 in the majors in batting average. The outfielder's currently hitting .335 at the plate. Meanwhile, Yuli Gurriel's in the top 10 in both batting average and RBI. He's batting .318 and knocked in 48 runners. They also have Framber Valdez on the mound here today. 3-0 record with a 1.42 ERA. The lefty's also coming into today's start with a .95 whip. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Houston's last 4 home games got over the line. They're also 22-15 to the over at Minute Maid Park. Meanwhile, the White Sox saw 3 out of their last 5 road games get over the total themselves, 60% to the over in their last 10 outings as well. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros minus 130 and the over 8 runs. Next ball game, Brewers versus the Rockies, 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Both teams are both minus 110, pretty much a coin flip here. Totals 10.5 juice to the over. Adrian Hauser from Milwaukee, Austin Gomer for Colorado. Now Gomer comes into today's start with a 6-5 record and a .354 ERA. The lefty's also got himself a 1.05 whip. The Rockies have won their last 5 straight ball games, 2 of those wins coming against Milwaukee. And shockingly, the Rockies they actually have the most home wins in the National League, believe it or not. They're in the top 3 in home scoring, and they average over 9.4 hits a game at Coors Field. Ryan McMahon's in the top 10 in the league in homers with 16 of them. He's also driven in 43 runners on the season. Meanwhile, Raimel Tapia, he's batting a nice, clean .300 on the season. He's in the top 15 in the majors in batting average. Now they're taking on a Milwaukee club who's on a 5-game losing streak, and they average just 2.4 runs a game during that span. Now this Milwaukee lineup is dead last in the majors in hits per game, and they're striking out over 10 times a game when they travel. The Brewers are scoring only 3.9 runs per contest for the entire season. And of course, as good as Adrian Hauser's looked in many different spots this season, he comes into today's start with a losing record of just 4-5 on the year. The righty's also got himself a 1.31 whip. When it comes to the number in this one, 3 out of Milwaukee's last 4 road games got over the posted total, 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. Meanwhile, the Rockies have gone 60% to the over in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Colorado Rockies minus $110 and the over 10.5. Bless you. Next matchup, Tigers, Angels, 10:07 Eastern start time. The LA Angels are minus 210, totals 9.5 juice to the under. Patty Sandoval for Los Angeles. Willie Peralta for Detroit. Now, Peralta hasn't made a start since 2017. He's seen action, but just hasn't made a start. They also lost 5 out of their last 8 ball games, and they find themselves 12 games below 500. The Tigers have struggled in their road games this season, winners of just 14 out of 36 ball games away from home. They also strike out more than any other team when traveling. They're fanning over 10.6 times a game in that category. They're taking on an Angels club who won 7 out of their last 10. 2 of those victories coming against this very Detroit squad. As a matter of fact, the Angels have put up 18 total runs in their last 2 games with Los Angeles. This LA lineup's in the top 3 in home scoring, top 5 in hits. Shohei Ohtani's hit 21 homers and knocked in 50. He's in the top 5 in the majors in both of those categories. He's also in the top 10 in the league with an OPS of 991. Jared Walsh is also in the top 10 in both homers and RBI himself. The first baseman has 16 home runs and 48 runs batted in. The Angels have won their last 4 straight home games. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, LA's 9-1 to the over in their last 10, 25-11 to the over on their home field. Meanwhile, 4 out of Detroit's last 5 road games got over the line themselves, 80% to the over in their last 10 as well. I'm going to lean toward the LA Angels minus 1.5 and the over 9.5 runs. Next ball game, Rays versus the Mariners, 10:10 p.m. Eastern first pitch. The Rays are minus 140, totals 8. Josh Fleming for Tampa, Logan Gilbert for Seattle. Now Gilbert's 2-2 with a 4.13 ERA. Despite a nice stretch of ball games here recently, the Seattle lineup is still dead last in the majors in hits on average per game at home. The Mariners are averaging less than 6.5 hits a game in that particular category. They're also striking out 9.7 times a game at the plate at home. They're taking on a first-place Tampa squad who plays their best baseball on the road despite their recent skid. The Rays are currently 24-14 straight up when they're away. And they're also 15 games above 500 for the season. Tampa's in the top 3 in road scoring. And they're also led by Austin Meadows, who's in the top 5 in the league in runs batted in. The Slugger's actually batted in 50 runners already. And he also has 15 homers on the year. In addition to that, Randy Arozarena and Manny Margot, they each have 37 RBI apiece as well. And when it comes to the number in this one, Tampa's gone 26-12 to the over as the away team. Meanwhile, Seattle's 70% to the over in their last 10 ball games as well. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays minus 140 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup. It is going to be Dodgers versus the Diamondbacks, 10:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The LA Dodgers are minus 220, numbers 9. Walker Buehler for Los Angeles, Matt Peacock for Arizona. And despite a hellacious losing streak right now, we're still looking at a Diamondbacks club who has a winning record against the number at home. They've also gone 15-11 against the number in their 26 home games against the National League. This D-backs lineup is in the top 5 in the league in hits on average per game at home. Eduardo Escobar is in the top 20 in both home runs and RBI. The third baseman's hit 15 home runs and knocked in 44. Meanwhile, David Peralta has 36 RBI thus far in the season. They're taking on a Dodger club who struggles to cover the run line on the road. Out of their 34 road games, they've successfully cashed in on the run line just 15 times. And of course, that's good for just 44% in that particular category. This Dodger lineup is surprisingly in the bottom half of the league in strikeouts at the plate as well. Now, total-wise, LA's 13-11 to the over in their National League contests on the road. Meanwhile, the D-backs have gone 21-10 to the over as the home team. I'm going to lean toward the Arizona Diamondbacks plus 1.5 and the over 9 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like Houston minus 130, over 8 runs. Colorado minus $1.10 over 10.5. I'm also leaning toward the LA Angels minus 1.5 over 9.5. Tampa Bay Rays minus 140 over 8 runs. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 6-3 in our last 9 $1.99 daily best plays on my Patreon website. We're also hitting at 71% in our last 17 NBA tier package picks on that Patreon page as well. I'm going to lean toward the Arizona Diamondbacks plus 1.5 and the over 9 runs. And with that, guys, now it's time for some shout outs to our top 10 YouTube commenters over the past couple of days or so. Shout out to Edward D, Tyler McCoy, Jeff Baker. Shout out to South Sack, Salah Udin, and Dwayne Coleman, Skiller Diller HD, Corey Jones, Antoine Cruz, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my man, Maurice Fletcher. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys do end up getting a package here today, just keep in mind Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a package here today on Patreon, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of June. And as always, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.